Hello there. It's no good the nation borrowing squillions of quid to bail out businesses if businesses can't get their hands on the dosh. Firstly, as ever, please kick that YouTube algorithm up the jacksie by giving this video a big fat like. And I'm always uploading new content, so please do check my YouTube channel daily. And a happy Easter to everyone, and a happy birthday to Ashton Taylor too. Now just a quick update on the Prime Minister. He's now recovering by the day, he's been working hard on rediscovering Tintin, says that he owes his life to the NHS, adding that the care he received was exemplary, and has now left hospital to complete his recuperation at Chequers. Get well soon, Boris. So the country is issuing and selling bonds like there's no tomorrow, so that the government has the cash to loan to or to give to people and businesses to keep the economic infrastructure as much as possible in place so it can spring into action once the lockdown is over. And the idea is to prevent what's happening in the US from happening here, where 17 million US workers sadly lost their livelihoods in 3 short weeks. But ordering businesses to go into mothballs on the back of a promise of financial support that never materialises does nothing but leave a trail of wrecked companies and lives, as well as trashing any trust the Tories might have thought they had. And then there's the personal rep of one's Rishi Sunak, our Chancellor of the Exchequer, who is now gambling his political future on being able to deliver on his unprecedented business bailout schemes by doing whatever is necessary to get cash to the businesses that need it prior to any bankruptcies and winding up orders being issued. The problem for Sunak, business and the people, though, is that reports are coming in that only 1 in 60 inquiries results in a business getting help through the Business Loan Interruption Scheme, or CBILS. Out of 300,000 inquiries, only 5,000 loans have been made, with the government saying that over £450 million has been secured by businesses. And the whole bailout scheme has scope to go to £330 billion. And the Business Secretary Alok Sharma was on Sky's Sophie Ridge programme this morning, where he said that only 4,200 emergency loans had been granted, which would equate to only 1.4% of the 300,000 that had inquired. And worse, just a minute percentage of all the 5.8 million small businesses out there. There seems to be a whole load of computer say no going on out there, doesn't there? And it's not funny. In fact, it's nearly as unfunny as that supposed comedy show Miranda. Now, there will be businesses out there that will not be able to pay their staff at the end of this month unless they get access to a CBILS loan in short order. And you only have to check out media stories to read about solid-sounding businesses that have either been turned down by their banks or not even being given the courtesy of a callback to discuss it. So there's a problem. There must be a bottleneck somewhere strangling the supply of money. Is it government? Is it the banks? Is it the British Business Bank, which is a small and little-known quango that suddenly found itself at the centre of this financial storm? Or is it the scheme itself, which appears to be based on a now outdated mechanism set up to address the economic fallout from the 2008 credit crunch? But unlike Switzerland, it seems, the Swiss have been able to get funds to businesses within the hour. Our much vaunted banking system, from the Treasury and the Bank of England down to the high street banks, does not seem to be cutting the mustard here. Possibly because it has an aversion to handing out money, unless it's tied up in red tape and heavily weighted in favour of the bankers. But if the Swiss can do it, why not the City of London? But business owners and their employees do not care whose fault it is. They need the filthy lucre right now and no delays. And the only way we're going to see that is if we get a change in perspective. At the moment, it seems to me that everyone is looking at this as businesses trying to secure loan funding to stay afloat. But that is exactly not the case. Every application is really a request for a loan from the government itself to keep the economy in stasis. The businesses involved are just proxies here. So the first thing the government must do is lift the government guarantee from 80% to a full 100% of the loan. And just to put all this in context, representing the people, the government and parliament have put in place stringent rules to force businesses to shut down for the duration, on the proviso that financial help would be forthcoming. But this is not a choice for those businesses affected. It is not a request. It is the law, and it carries penalties for those that do not comply. It could be looked at as a form of contract between government and business, where the government has promised to pay for people to not work. A situation where the people of this country have therefore effectively and collectively purchased the time of those companies and workers to not work and to not conduct business operations, so that a full-blown healthcare crisis can be averted. And it's only when you look at it from that perspective that the moral, political and economic imperatives become clear to smash through those bottlenecks and turn the money spigot onto the full flow setting. This is not individual loans to businesses struggling to get through a bad couple of months trading. This is about the country forcing those businesses to completely shut down and make zero money, but still pay the bills. In normal times, when business is bad for a company, it has the wherewithal to work more hours, change the way it operates, lay off or take on more staff, change pricing structures, or whatever it takes to survive. And most would be able to weather such a storm for a few months, a storm where turnover and profits are down, but not killed off completely overnight. But right now, no business-based opportunities exist for them, and with zero ability to earn, any realistic buffer they had to cover the bad times was ripped from them almost immediately, all through no fault of their own. This is no time for bureaucracy and red tape. The government is borrowing heavily so that it can get money to businesses so they can protect themselves and be ready to reboot the UK economy. It is not the time to be squeamish over some tick boxes on application forms. This is the time to be bold and get the money into people's hands so they can rescue themselves and their employees and ultimately our economy. Let's hope that the 4 new banks that have been approved to dish out these loans get the whole thing moving faster. Yes, I know bureaucracy and box ticking normally protects the public purse, but that's in normal times. That's when business is vibrant and earning. But right now, the only way to protect the public purse, and yes, the country, is to drive a coach and horses through that red tape, or there'll be nothing left for us to be bureaucratic about and ticking boxes for, will there? And if these bottlenecks persist, then the government may still yet be forced to deploy the helicopters full of money and sprinkle it liberally over the people in the form of a citizen's wage. But whatever is happening with the business bailout funding, the Tory party is still proving it has a Teflon coating. The latest poll by Opinium has them at 55%, as opposed to a mere 29% the Starmer-led Labour Party can manage. That means that Boris has led his party to its best ever in-government score, and Keir Starmer is now leading a party that has dropped 3 points since the general election in December 2019. On top of that, Opinium also says that approval of the government's handling of the health crisis stands at 61%. I bet Boris wished that the 2020 general election was still going ahead. And now to that other crisis, the EU's Eurobond crisis. As you might know, countries like Italy, Spain, Portugal and France want to spread the cost of this crisis across the whole Eurozone by issuing Eurobonds, which would mean that every one of the 19 Eurozone countries would be helping to pay back the money used by the southern member states like Italy in fighting the crisis. But a few, like the Danish, Germans and Dutch, are far from happy with this, with the Netherlands in particular demanding that those member states that benefit from any crisis loans must be the ones to pay them back. In fact, the Express reports that following the recent proposal for a crisis deal put together by Brussels, Dutch Finance Minister Wopke Hoekstra boasted that his side had won the argument, saying the Netherlands is and will remain opposed to Eurobonds. And he also said that sometimes you have to put your foot down. Hoekstra is of the opinion that the use of Eurobonds to address the financial side of this crisis would end up with a huge splurge of spending of borrowed money by southern member states, which the people of the north would end up footing the bill for. And this has exasperated the Portuguese Prime Minister Antonio Costa, who has questioned Holland's commitment to the EU project and said, "If under these conditions it's not possible for Europe to ensure a common response to this challenge, this is a sign of great concern for those who believe in Europe." And he went on to ask whether there was anyone who wants to be left out of the bloc or the Eurozone, and he went on to say, "Naturally, I'm referring to the Netherlands. There is at least one country in the Eurozone that resists understanding that sharing a common currency implies sharing a common effort." So it seems he's taking a swipe at the Dutch and saying that they aren't committed, so should not be in the Eurozone and possibly also not in the European Union either. Good to see that old EU unity thing working, isn't it? And now to our fishing industry, or should I say to a fishing industry that is soon to be ours once again, because we don't get back full control of our exclusive economic zone until the end of the Brexit implementation period on the 31st of December. So right now we're stuck with the EU Common Fisheries Policy rules. Further, due to this health crisis, our fishing vessels are stuck in port due to the lack of demand for fish. But this hasn't stopped the EU super trawlers from plundering our waters. According to a Telegraph report, Greenpeace have tracked 5 of these huge factory trawlers into the seas off the west coast of Scotland, 3 from the Netherlands and 2 from France. And they are now engaged in hoovering up our fish. Chris Thorne, Oceans campaigner for Greenpeace UK, said, "The vast majority of the UK's more sustainable local fishing fleet is stuck in port, unable to work due to a collapse in demand. These destructive super trawlers are still looting fish in British waters. The crisis has left British fishing communities high and dry, but in the meantime, industrial fishing continues as usual." And those pro-EU rejoiniacs out there want the UK to still be a part of all of this? It seems that they would rather continue to sacrifice our fishing communities and our ecology just so they don't have to show a passport. Anyway, if you want to hear more from me, please don't forget to subscribe and also press that little bell, or you won't get any notifications. And if you want to see more of me, buy a mug with my mug on it. So what do you think about the business loan situation? Please share and comment, and thank you for watching.